Hello everyone. I just want to make a little bit of an introduction here to a series of videos that I'm hopefully going to make in the next few days, weeks, months, well from now on basically, which are going to be slideshows. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I just couldn't download the material before. I couldn't get the music and so on together. Finally worked out how to do that. I'm not the most technical minded person, so finally worked out how to do it. Um, you may have seen a sort of very brief video entitled Asian Beauties. It was sort of intended as an experimental video, just showed six, well, beautiful Asian ladies. Um, and it was purely an experiment. Hope that didn't offend anyone, by the way. I'm sure it didn't, but I'm a heterosexual man. I like women, so it was purely a test. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to do a lot more. A bit of an introduction to the first one I will put up, and that is on British Prime Ministers. This is a concept that's been done a few times online. I'm sure other people will have different styles to mine. What I'm going to do, hopefully, is divide mine into three parts. We've had 53 Prime Ministers in this country, which is a little bit long to put in one video, at least if I want to give a bit of time to each. So what I'm going to do is divide it into three parts. Um, just a few bits of info before I do that, because I may not be able to put them up on the video itself. In the case of the first Prime Minister, Robert Walpole, the actual head of government at the time was a man called Lord Townshend, but historians recognise that Walpole had the bulk of influence, especially on the King. The second Prime Minister, the Earl of Wilmington, was very largely insignificant, and the real power was with Lord Carteret. So those early Prime Ministers, the office wasn't really established. This is a very important thing to recognise. It sort of evolved. It's not like in the United States where George Washington was absolutely the first president and the office was specifically set up. In Britain, it sort of came by accident. In fact, Prime Minister was an insult for a long time. It was sort of seen, oh, you're the Prime Minister. Um, Minister being a sort of derogatory term for those in government at the time. So the term sort of developed by accident, and it wasn't until Sir Henry Campbell Bannerman in the 20th century that the term really became official. Um, the official title was always First Lord of the Treasury, so if I wanted to be formal, I'd make this a video of all First Lords of the Treasury. The reason I'm not doing that is, one, the general public aren't that familiar with the term, so I do want the videos to get views, so it would be counterproductive. Secondly, there have been First Lords in that position who didn't actually serve by what today would be seen as Prime Minister. In fact, there was a Lord Iddesleigh in the 1880s when Lord Salisbury was Prime Minister. So yeah, the term Prime Minister is an office that has only really come to mean something as an office in the 20th century. Nevertheless, all the men, and they are all men except for Margaret Thatcher, I'm going to show you, were considered basically the head of government of their time, or to have assumed the role of what today we see as Prime Minister. But that's just a bit of background info. I'm going to try and put in some music. I'm going to try and fit it to the particular time I'm showing. May not be exact, but I'll try my best. Um, I'm also going to make the title of at least the first video Prime Ministers of Great Britain and the United Kingdom. The reason for that, if you're not familiar with British history, is because until 1800, this country was officially the Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. 1800 came the Act of Union with Ireland, by which point it became the United Kingdom. So the Prime Ministers before 1800 were Prime Ministers of Great Britain as opposed to Prime Ministers of the United Kingdom. Just one point I'd like to make, sometimes our American cousins and others talk about the Prime Minister of England. There's no such thing, and there never has been. Except perhaps before Walpole there may have been a Lord High Treasurer of England, but England itself has never had a Prime Minister or even a First Minister, so that's just a point to consider. Okay, so that's just a bit of an introduction. I'm going to make other videos. I am just starting off, so I can't promise that they'll be great, but I'm going to try my best to make them decent. Please do subscribe, please watch, please feel free to share them with others. What prompted me to do this is I saw this Disney series on the American presidents. I really enjoyed that, thought it was well done. And obviously I'm not going to do that, but I would love something similar, sort of little videos which are done in a light-hearted manner. I think they're good for children to educate them in a fun way, or at least a light-hearted manner. Because politics can be dull, it can be, if you're not interested in it, it can be heavy-going. Those Disney videos were done in a very sort of light-hearted manner. I like the way they were done. So I'd like to see something similar with the British PMs, but at the moment what we have is these sort of slideshows. One last point, the office of Prime Minister is effectively the most powerful position in this country. Some would say Rupert Murdoch, the media tycoon, but realistically, I mean over time, Prime Minister is the most powerful office. There may be some confusion abroad. The Queen is head of state, but she's not an elected politician. She's sort of a figurehead, and she is significant. It would be wrong to say that she has no significance. She's very significant, but she cannot, for example, make decisions on foreign policy, domestic policy. She can have a say and share her thoughts with the Prime Minister. Every week they have a weekly meeting. But she is the head of state in the same way that in other countries, for example in Italy, in Germany, the President is head of state but has relatively little power in comparison to the Prime Minister, or in the case of Germany, the Chancellor. Every country has a slightly different setup. In Britain, it's the Queen is the head of state, then the Prime Minister is the head of government, but he or she effectively is the most powerful person in the country, which is why he or she will be the person having high profile meetings with other world leaders. And it is a pretty powerful office. I mean, bearing in mind the United Kingdom is still a member of the Security Council, we're still a pretty important country in the world stage. Therefore, by nature, the head of government is going to be pretty important. For example, there's been quite a number of occasions British Prime Ministers have made it to the cover of prestigious Time magazine, and Forbes usually ranks the British Prime Minister in the top 10 most powerful people in the world. I believe last time Cameron was 11, but he has been 7th, so sort of you get the idea. It's a powerful job. Not quite as big as, say, Russian President, American President, or Chinese President, but nevertheless a pretty powerful job. And a world leader of prominence. So without further ado, I'm going to try and make a video, keep an eye out for it, and keep an eye out for my other videos. Incidentally, just one last thing, I'm going to continue making talking videos in between them. So this isn't a case that I'm going from a transition to talking videos to slideshows. I'm going to do both. Please share them, let me know your thoughts, etc. Thank you.